Hello, fellow humans, and welcome back after a very long while. Today, I want to talk to you guys about HTML and just give you an overview of what HTML is and just enough knowledge about HTML so that you can figure it out on your own instead of spending lots of time trying to learn HTML. I feel this learning HTML is a stupid sentence, like a lot of things, because I am a stupid guy who did that. So there's really nothing much to learn in HTML. So what I'd like to do with this video is to leave you with a general idea or general concept of HTML, and uh, the rest you can figure it out as you build projects and as you build websites and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I wanted to do today with this video. So what is HTML? HTML or hypertext markup language. It is well, basically, as it says, it's a markup language. Most people mistakenly call it one of the programming languages or whatever. But no, it doesn't have any logical task performing capabilities. Like it doesn't have any conditional statements. It doesn't have any looping statements. You can't store. There's no variables and stuff like that. So no, it's not a programming language. It would be wrong to call HTML a programming language. HTML is a markup language. So it is used to describe the format of the web page that you are currently viewing. Now, no matter how complex of a front end, let's say, framework or things that you use, such as React, Vue, Angular, whatever, etc., ultimately, when it goes to the user sitting in front of a browser, it all gets compiled down to an HTML page. So HTML is basically what every web page is finally written in HTML itself, and that is how it is transferred from the servers to the users and their web browsers. So now, how does HTML work? HTML basically works by, you can basically split up your entire web page into different components and parts, and each of them are written in HTML. So for example, let's take a actual practical example. So if you go to google.com, so you see, there's like like title bar with these links, Gmail images, and your sign in photo and stuff like that. So that is one component, and then each of these links could be one more component. This image is one component, this search bar is one part, then these two buttons are two parts again. So like that, you can split your entire this thing into various parts. And then if you actually click on view page source, okay, so this is minimized HTML, so you won't be able to make sense of it much, but yeah, you can see here, this entire thing is HTML. If you just scroll like this, yeah, so you can see the various tags being used here. Anyways, so but the basic idea of HTML is that you take a web page, divide it into many parts, and those parts you can write inside of HTML using a concept called a tag. So before we get started with how HTML works and the concept of tags, you need to know two things, right? As you need to know with anything. So that is, first thing, where do you write it? Where do you write? Literally any text editor is okay for this. So Notepad, anything from Notepad up to VS Code or NeoVim, whatever text editor or code editor you use, you can write HTML in that. Now the second thing is, where do you run it? Oh god, I became dyslexic here. Where do you run it? Run it is okay, run in the sense it indicates some logic is there. It's like a programming language. No, let's not do that. Where do you display it? Might be better. Where do you display it? Well, your browser, of course. As we discussed already, all the web pages are written in HTML. So therefore, any browser can open and display your HTML file. So right, so now that is done. Alright, so now let us move on to the concept of a tag. What is a tag in HTML? So tag is basically the most fundamental concept of HTML. So if you know what a tag is and how to put your content in between tags, basically 90% of your HTML is done. So my aim is not to teach you all the different types of tags to ever exist, you know, that would be dumb, because that's what I did. I tried to learn all the different types of tags that ever existed, which is dumb, you know, because once you understand the concept of tags, and then let's say you want to use a certain tag, you just look it up and then use it in your code base. And once you use it, let's say 5-6 times, by the 7th time you would intuitively memorize it and write it on your own. So let us first understand what actually is a tag, and how do we structure the HTML web page. So think of your tag as like a box, okay? So let's say this is our tag, inside of which we will put some content. So let's say this is a tag, and inside of this we will write some content. Let's say this some textual content, like this is my website. So yeah, that is a tag, and inside which is some content. So you can also it's also important to know that inside of a tag you can put another tag as well, and then there can be multiple tags like this, and then there can be, let's say, so let's just say this content is this tag, and then there can be some content outside here as well, some more content like that. So you know, that's how a tag works. So you can have content inside a tag, and then you can have other tags inside of a tag, and then content inside that nested one. So that's basically how tag works. You can basically think of a tag as some container that holds some sort of content. Now there are different types of tags based on what they do. So normally you can just write, and it can be so normally you can write a tag and then the text will be displayed directly, but there are special tags, let's say for images, or for an HTML tag indicating that it's a HTML page, and so on and so forth. So there are some tags that we would need to know, some basic tags. So let's open, let's say, a text editor, and I'll go over a few of these tags. Okay, so we've just opened just any normal text editor. If you're on Windows, Notepad would not look like this, I understand that, but still, it's just a normal text editor. You don't need VS Code or some code editor for that. The most important thing to write HTML is to make sure that you save it properly, you know. So you need to save it with a proper file format, and that would be the .html extension. So let's say we go to HTML. Okay, so index.html, this we write the file name is written as index just by convention, so just don't mind that. Just write index.html, the first, whatever the main web page or the first page of your website that is that needs to be opened automatically. By convention we name it as index.html. So save it as .html, make sure that it is not a .txt file. So once you save it, so this will turn into an HTML file. Now if we go back to the concept of tags, we know, you know, you can tags basically display all sorts of content and stuff like that. So now let us assume this is our web page. In fact, let me just close this tab here. Right, cool. So let us assume this is our web page. Okay, now there is a tag that includes some information which cannot be seen by the users. So let's just reduce the font size a little bit. Info cannot be seen on website. Okay, and then there is the info that you actually show on your website. So let's say a title, then some paragraphs of text, then something like that. And each of these could be in their own like tags, you know, the title tag, and then a paragraph tag, etc, etc. So this is basically how a website would look. Now notice that there are this big box, this tag is basically representing your entire HTML page. Then these two boxes represent the head and body tags respectively. So let us see what they are about. First we will write HTML. So this is the syntax of writing a tag. We will have an opening one and then the closing one. The closing one is indicated by a forward slash like this in front of this. So this means the HTML tag is open and then HTML tag is closed. Now just to make sure that the rest of the tags just to visually make it appear that the rest of tags are in between these two, we will press one tab to give enough, like, some space. Okay, so we'll use the tab for that. I think tab is set to 2 spaces here, so it's fine, it's fine. Then we write head and body. These are the two main tags that need to be there in every HTML page. Now whatever is written in the head tag is technically not for it's technically not shown on the actual website to the user. So let's say if I write something like title is a tag present inside the head, and I can write some title such as my website. Now where will this be shown? I said you cannot see this, but I'm still mentioning a title. Why? Well, that's because this my website will be shown on the new tab at the top. Like let's say if you open new tab, it says new tab. If you open google.com, it says Google on the top. So it will say my website at the top. In fact, let's just see this in action. So let me just Firefox index.html, and it's nothing right now. Okay. Yeah, so you can see at the top it says my website. Of course the page is empty because we have not given anything. So let's put some content in the body. So in the body, let's type some random text. So basically anything that's not a tag, basically open and closed by these angular brackets, it's just shown directly as content in the page. So if I reload this, let's refresh this. Did we save it here? Okay, no, we didn't save it. We save it and then refresh. So we get random text here. So, but let's say what if I want this random text to be a little bit bigger, right? So I'll write this in h1. So h1 is a tag. It's basically like a heading tag. So there are h1 to h6 based on the h1 being the largest and h6 being the smallest of them. So let's take h3 also, just to show the size difference, and then let's take a h6 and then slash h6. Oops. Right. So heading, subheading, random, small heading, whatever, So if we refresh this now, so you can see the size difference. Heading is like very big, subheading, and then small heading is even smaller than the, the default content that we write in the body tag. There is also p tag for paragraphs, for writing paragraphs. So this is just normal size text. So normal sized paragraph text. Oops. Normal size paragraph text, and I think we. So that's how basically the tags work, where there's a starting tag and there's an ending tag and then your content in between. So we've seen some textual tags, like heading and then paragraph, and then these tags are head and body denote the structure of the web page, where inside head tag all the things that are not meant for the user's eyes are there, such as like let's say the title of the tab of the browser or something like that, while the body tag contains the entire the visible web page which is shown to the user. Okay, so let's go over a few more tags. I know I wanted to focus more on the concept of tags rather than show you all the different types of tags that exist. But there is a different type of tag known as a self-closing tag, where you can just start it and there is no need to close it. So self-closing tags generally do not contain any content. They themselves are some element of the web page. So let's say if I add a tag known as an HR here. So HR is nothing but horizontal rule. It will basically give a line. So heading, subheading, big line, and then small heading, normal size paragraph. It will be shown like that. So if we just go here and refresh, so we get like a nice big line over here. So that is what the HR tag does, and we don't need to close it. I mean, we can close it also. There's no big deal. It will still behave the same. But since there is no need for any content between the HR tags, it's just self-closing. So you can just leave it like this, HR, and then like this. So yeah, that is an HR tag, and you can also, instead of this, put a BR tag. So BR tag is like an empty line break, like it will give a gap between these two, but you won't see the gap, like it won't be filled by anything. It's just a gap. There's no line indicating the gap, so it's just a line break. So let's just leave it like that, HR. And then let's say, okay, one more tag that is basically the heart of how internet works is the hyperlink. So the internet is what it is because of the interconnected web pages, right? So let's see how to add hyperlinks to our HTML page. So that is mainly done through the a tag, a tag. And then this is, we'll just close it back here again. And let's say we'll call it some click me. Okay, so now we have this a tag that says click me, but how do we make sure that it redirects to a particular website or web page? So for that, we add a attribute called as href. Now in HTML tags, we can also add different attributes to it. We just go to the opening tab, give a space, opening tag, give a space, we type href. Href is the attribute which decides where this click me will link to. Give equal to, and then inside quotation marks give the URL of the website to redirect to. Let's say I want to redirect to google.com, right? So let's see if this works. We've saved it, we reload it. Now if we click me, and it will go to google.com. So that's how it works. That's how the a tag works. Should we cover one more tag, or should I? Okay, let's assume I want, okay, this a tag is fine and all. Okay, you can just click and it'll go to a web page. Fantastic. But let's say, what if I want to make it a button, you know, like a clickable button? Let's say I don't know how to do that. Okay, I know the basic concept of HTML, I know how the tags work, but I don't know how to insert a button. So I'll just simply go to Google and type how to insert a button. You can also use GPT or Perplexity or anything like that. How to insert a button, HTML, let's say, right? Alright, so the first resource that you see is W3 Schools. W3 Schools is a fantastic resource. So you can just click on there, right? So button, type button, click me. So they gave us an example here. So button tag defines a clickable button, and you can see it's just the opening and then closing one. I don't think this type attribute is required, but so basically the syntax is same, button slash button. Okay, so we will do button slash button, and then we will say click me. Cool. So let us just go back, refresh, and there's a button here saying click me. Okay, fantastic. Okay, nothing happens on clicking, of course, because we haven't decided anything yet. Now, by looking at a tag, you would think, okay, href attribute is there, and then inside this we put the URL, so this will redirect to there. So what your logical brain is saying, instead of googling everything straight away, logically it should say, you know, we can just copy this, put the same attribute for the button, save it, and then reload it, and then click me, it should go there. But it's not, because the href attribute is only for the a tag. The a tag is to link to different web pages, only the a tag is used. So therefore you may be thinking, okay, now what? Because we have a so now what? Now you may be thinking, okay, that's not working, so now what? Well, if you remember what we have seen, tag, you can have a tag, and then inside of that you can have one more tag, and inside of that you can have content as well, and you can have a content outside as well, and then a tag inside that as well. So what if you remove this content, and instead of the content you put the entire a tag, opening and closing, along with the href inside of the button tag? I hope you're able to get it. So if you want, I'll just separate it out for you. So inside the button opening and closing, in between, we are inserting another tag, which is the a tag. We open the a tag, then we write the content of the a tag, click me, then close the a tag and close the button tag. So now we are nesting tags inside of each other. So this is a button inside of which we have a hyperlink, and inside of that we have this attribute which defines where it goes to, and then a text saying click me. Now if we go ahead and let's say, did we save this? No, we didn't. Okay, now we save this, and if we reload this, now you can see the button has changed. The text is inside the button, and if you click the button now, you will go back, you will be redirected to Google, which is the URL that you specified. So this is basically the process of learning. Let's say now let's say you want to insert an image so just go to Google, image insertion in HTML. Most of the links that you'll see will be W3 Schools, and W3 Schools is a fantastic resource. So just click here, look at the example, and then copy and put it in your this thing. So let's say so image src alt, image src alt. Now what does this alt mean? What does this src mean? It is, if you read through, you'll find it here. So src is the path to wherever the image file is there. Alt means some alternate text for the image. Let's say your image does not load because of some net issues, then it should display some or the other alternate text. So that's what the alt tag specifies. So should we try it out? Oh no, let me leave this for you guys to try it out on your own. So before I end this, I'd like to just go through. Now this is not technically the way that we write things anymore. There is a modern HTML boilerplate. Now what is a boilerplate? Boilerplate is nothing but a starting piece of code which is already pre-written in like most projects, and then you use that to continue building on your project. So let us just have a quick look at that kind of boilerplate. If I can just code here, if I open something like Visual Studio Code or some IDE like that, right? So let's just trust. Okay, cool. So now let's say we open some index2.html. Don't name your files like this. I'm just naming it for the purpose of content creation. Anyways, so now here, let me just increase the size a bit. Or not, that's too much. Right. So if I type exclamation mark, that's basically brings up an option, emit abbreviation, and just click enter here. So I get immediately already a few lines of auto-filled HTML code. So this is a new tag, this we don't recognize. So this basically indicates that this is the latest version of HTML, that is HTML5. So for that you need this doc type HTML, and this is self-closing, so you don't need to close it again. Then this one, you know, the normal HTML tag that we have seen, opening of the HTML, closing of HTML, like here and here. But there is an extra attribute that we have given here, lang equal to en. So this is explicitly specifying that it's going to be, the content in the page is going to be in English. Next, again we see the repeating the head and the body tags, right? So the same head tag and the body tag. But inside the head tag, there are a lot of changes. So title is auto-filled by, let's say, some document, it's auto-filled. Then there are two meta tags. Meta tag is nothing but it is used to define metadata, or the data that we don't see. So let's say things like character set, what character set is to be used, or let's say name, viewport, content width equal to device width, initial scale 1.0. All these make sure that your website is viewable comfortably, both on like a big screen like a PC and also on a mobile. So yeah, so there are a lot of these things that are auto-filled by default in the modern HTML boilerplate. So 99% of the time you would just copy this and then add your tags in the body tag as needed. So if I just go back to the previous one, we can just copy our entire body and put it here. And then if we open this, let's say, so if we do Firefox index2.html, yeah, so there's no difference. There is no difference. It still works the same. You cannot tell any difference. It's just that this is much more proper way of writing and more modern way of writing HTML. So that is the boilerplate. And most of the times you can just copy this and then paste it into any of your new HTML file and then start working by adding tags and stuff like that. Okay, cool. All right, so that's about it, I guess. I hope I was able to convey the simplicity of the concept of HTML and the way in which you look up things and learn on the go while you're building projects and while you're building fun websites and stuff like that.